What the heck happened? We're going to talk Seahawks here in a minute, I mean, what a crazy game.
The Chargers game?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, well, I mean, I said in the top when we were talking before the game with Money, and he said, what's the key to the game? And I said, well, you've got to eliminate the easy button. You've got a quarterback making his first start. Make things hard on him. Don't give him short fields. Make him travel the length of the field against your defense. They had 2 drives that started inside the Chargers' 5-yard line and scored 21 points.
Does that
total in the game? So I mean, that was the game.
Does that kill the Russell Wilson career? Is that the end? Is that a stake in the heart of Russell Wilson?
When Dart had to go get into concussion protocol to get checked out, and then Russ came jogging on the field, I actually felt bad for him. The whole stadium booed him as he came onto the field. That was tough. If by the way, on that front, we get to the Seahawks in a second, but if you are Cincinnati and you watch what you watched last night, why wouldn't you call and bring in Jameis? I'd rather watch Jameis try and throw the ball to Jamar Chase 50 times a game.
Or Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a sensitive topic in the market up there, but I would not be excited about watching Browning for another whatever it is.
No, he needs help around him. And their O-line is atrocious as well. I was Denver. Denver kind of looked, I think that's a good segue to Seattle. Denver's line of scrimmage, their offensive line, their defensive line, especially their front, that felt like a Seattle Seahawks kind of front last night that just imposed their will. DJ, this has been now 4 games. It is a continuation of the second half of last season. We talked a lot about that. We talked about it the first few weeks of where this defense is. You put the Seahawk tape on yet again this week. What jumps off?
The depth, just the depth and the sheer number of guys that are getting involved and playing well and playing fast. I think the front really it's not, and Leonard continues to do his thing, and we talk about him every week on here, but the whole group is just playing well together and they're running to the ball. That is, I was talking to one of the guys in the personnel department with the Chargers who has history with Macdonald going back to Baltimore. And I told him, I said, it reminds me a lot of the Chargers. When I watch the Seahawks every week and look at the tape, there's a lot of similarities to how they play. And he said, yeah, it's just they've just preach it and stress it about getting hats to the ball. And it sounds kind of high schooly or, kind of like early football stuff there with kids. But you'd be surprised when you really look at NFL football week in and week out, it's more the rare thing where you see that much effort and hustle to get to the ball.
How good is Leonard Williams? I feel like we've asked this question before.
It's every week.
But it is becoming an every week thing. And Brock will tell you that on Friday, I gave our audience a little homework assignment for the weekend to go home and talk to someone they know about how good Leonard Williams is. Because as good as he is, and as much as we talk about it, we're still not talking about it enough. Mike Macdonald said he couldn't come up with a player playing the position any better than he is right now. It sure feels as if he is playing at that ultra elite level.
I feel like we've had this conversation 3 weeks in a row on here, and I've said it when we've talked about it. I don't know who's playing better than him, and I don't. It's not hyperbole. It's not. It's close. It's not even. There's nobody that's playing at that level right now the way that he's playing. So I hope he can keep it up. I hope he can stay healthy, because if he does, he's going to be in the Defensive Player of the Year discussion.
All right, so why him? First of all, that's a huge thing, Defensive Player of the Year, and we can maybe come back to that. But why? What is it about Leonard Williams specifically? Because there's I know there's guys that are big. There's a lot of guys who are really good who play that position. What sets him apart specifically?
I look at defensive linemen, and against the run, can you win on the front side and the back side? Can you win on the front side with strength, power, leverage? Yes. Can you win on the back side? Can you beat blocks? Can you play with quickness? Can you pursue and close from the backside? He does those things. Then against the pass, it's pretty simple formula. Like, do you possess enough power to be able to walk guys back to the quarterback to set up everything else you want to do? And if you have that power, then can you pay it off with some of the counters and the quickness that you can win other ways? And those are the 4 key areas I look at for defensive linemen, and he's been A++ in all 4 areas.
DJ, I'm going to be vulnerable with you in 2 different ways today. This will be the first one. Shared it last hour. My color blindness has been a stumbling block in my life in many different ways. I gave Salk a lot of credit for knowing primary colors. He diminished that thought because you learned that in kindergarten, something I never did learn. But can you go from can you go from a blue to a purple chip player? Last year, you taught us a lot about that through the draft process, looking at the Seahawk roster. It's a lot of blue chips. There's a lot of blue chips. Are there many purple chips? Based on your kind of conversation there, Leonard Williams, he's a purple chip kind of player. Can these blue chippers, can they go? Can you add red to make them a purple chip player?
I think so. I think there's some of it's kind of the natural thing where it's you get into like year 3, year 4, and that's kind of the natural takeoff point. I think with Leonard, it's just he's been in that area of that just really, really good Pro Bowl caliber player for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And now you're seeing him take another step a little bit later on in the career. I think that's a little more rare what he's doing in terms of the dominance. But I have to go back through my list.
Can Byron Murphy go from a blue chip to a purple? Can a Spoon, if he can take the ball away, go from a blue chip to a purple chip? Can a Derek Hall? I don't know if Hall and Mafe are quite blue chip kind of guys, but is that something you do see and have seen over the course of the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see some guys go up there. I mean, that's rare air when you start talking about guys who you believe are the top 5 to 7 players at their position in the NFL. There's only so many of those guys, the elite players. So, you don't need many of them. You see teams win Super Bowls when you can have 3 or 4 of those elite level players, and they've got some guys that are there. And to me, as great as that, group is playing and Leonard doing his thing, I think to me, still the biggest story of this Seahawks team is on the other side of the ball, and that the offensive line is better. And the fact that Sam has not had the, kind of this slow launch, so to speak, there, that maybe some people thought it would take an adjustment period and, hey, just be patient. It's new setup for him. He's just hit the ground running and looks so confident and so comfortable back there. I think that's probably even the bigger story for where they are.
Well, I certainly have that written down as something to talk to you about. So let's go there with Daniel Jeremiah and talk a little bit about the offense and specifically the quarterback. We went through some numbers and some charting with whether it's EPA or the PFF grades that just show him playing football about as well as any quarterback in the league so far. Should we be talking more about Sam Darnold as one of the best in the league?
I think he's really, really good to the point where in watching Caleb Williams Caleb Williams is getting better and playing better. But I had this thought when I was going through the Seahawks tape of, man, I know, and it's not just the SC connection, but if I was Ben Johnson, I would sit Caleb down and show him how Sam's playing the position and show him how quiet Sam is from the waist down, like how there's a calmness and a quietness to how he's playing that's not frenetic at all. For someone like Caleb Williams, he shows you flashes where he can kind of slow it down. And when he does, he plays at a really high level. I'm using Sam as an example for a young quarterback of where you'd like to get to. And I don't know if people would have believed that if I would have told you that, 3 or 4 years ago with where Sam's career is, but he is. And to me, that's because you have a faith in your ability. We've talked about it, before, about trust your eyes, trust your guys, but he is playing with tremendous amount of poise and confidence. And there's a calmness to how he's playing, which is impressive.
Is that what he did for 15 of the 17 weeks a year ago in Minnesota?
Yeah. And that's why I kept telling people that, the end of the year is who he was. And I'm like, guys, I'll give you one game. I'll give you the Detroit game. He didn't play good in that game. Okay, that's one game. The Rams game, I think he got sacked 9 times in that game. There's nobody that's doing anything. I don't care what. Look at Patrick Mahomes in those Super Bowls when he's got heated up like that. That's not a quarterback problem. That's a much bigger problem. And I think it was just convenient for people who didn't, who wanted to be, we were right that Sam Darnold could never play. And even though I've got these, 15 examples of how great he played last year, I'm going to latch on to 2 of them, one of which, Tom Brady wouldn't have done anything against the Rams that day.
Calmness is such an interesting way of describing what he's done. And in kind of thinking back on the 4 games that we've watched, I think that does make sense. And maybe it's on my mind also thinking about you and about to watch your Padres. And I'm sure that's anything but calm experience. There's a lot of anxiety that goes into watching a postseason baseball game. That's what the sport is all about. But when you watch a lot of quarterbacks around the league, that is a nice dividing line between the guys who look calm doing it and the guys who look like they are just frenetic and sped up. And that doesn't mean it can't work when you're not calm. I mean, like, there are guys that, with their legs, they can make that work. But, I mean, this past weekend or past Thursday is a good example. Kyler Murray never looks calm to me. And maybe that's why I just don't like him as a quarterback. He always looks like he's in panic mode and then he's inaccurate. Whereas Sam does. He really does look very calm all the time.
Yeah, and look, there's a sweet spot there too. You don't want to be so calm and relaxed that you're getting, hit and the ball's coming on the ground all the time because you're not playing fast enough.
Sure.
But you don't want to be sped up and frenetic and hyperactive back there. He's found that nice little pocket. I almost think of him like you think of how you might listen to podcasts. Like when Sam's been in trouble in the past, and I see it as I reference with Caleb Williams, like he's listening to it at 1.6 speed. Like he's got to slow that thing down a little bit, man. Just slow it down, and then you'll get yourself into a nice rhythm and flow. It's hard to be accurate when everything is moving too quickly and too fast. It'd be like a golf swing where you're too quick. You got to kind of have a nice tempo and flow to it, and that's how Sam's playing.
Any of your boys, DJ, play quarterback?
No, I pushed them away from that. As someone who was, look, I was in a quarterback battle in college back and forth. So it was kind of, you'd start a few games, you'd be out, and I'm like, dude, that's the only position on the field, I guess, maybe than kicker, where if you're the second best at anything else, you play a ton. Like, I don't want you to, I want you to get out there and enjoy the game. So I raised a tight end / linebacker and a defensive end tight end. So
you know what I've noticed?
That kept them on the field.
In my life experience, and it's been only a few years here in Titus now in high school, but I got to watch my nephew play tight end, and it was so enjoyable. I was like,
isn't it relaxing? I love
it. Yes. I sat on a plane with Justin Herbert's mom. My producer thought I was flirting with this older woman. When we got done, he's like, you and that woman talked the whole flight from L.A. or Eugene to L.A. I'm like, yeah, that was Justin Herbert's mom. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm like, yes, I don't just talk to women to talk to him. She was fascinating because she was like, oh, I love watching my son play tight end, Patrick, at Oregon.
Yeah.
And I hate watching my son play quarterback. I have to sit in a suite. It's miserable. All eyes are on him. I mean, it is just a different viewing experience.
Here's my question. Yeah. The only thing I could equate it to is when your kids were little playing soccer and they would play goalie. Because it's like anything else happens on a soccer field.
Yeah, my daughter
kids,
did that. Macy was a goalie.
See, gosh, you're gonna have a short life, Brock. You have
aged so
years
much.
off your life.
So this is the other.
I remember.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, my youngest son, and I tried to again I'm like, hey, no, play one of these other positions. He's like, no. I think so. They're in the middle of a game. He's like 5-6 years old. So they go, we need somebody to play goalie. So my son raises his hand. He goes in there to the goal. So they kind of come onto the field and they're getting ready to drop the ball. And I look, and he's in the goal. He's got his hand up in the air, like he's trying to ask a question to the teacher. And you just hear him go, I changed my mind. I changed my mind.
Man, I watch it with the hockey kids. And what's funny about the hockey goalie the goalie parents are almost more a team unto themselves than they are part of they have sympathy for the other goalie on the other team. Very different. All right, Brock, where were you going with all this on the quarterback thing?
Yeah, well, I was going to tell a different story, but it's going to take too long.
Right,
we're up against it because I have to get to Riq. But hold on, no. I do want
one more quarterback thing. Last quarterback thing.
Yeah.
How is Sam Darnold in this passing offense so good when they really haven't run the ball? Every conversation we had about the Seahawks was they have to run the ball consistently because they don't have enough weaponry to throw it all the time. That hasn't been true at all. Their run game has been much more inconsistent, and both of us said earlier, Brock, we preferred it when they're throwing the ball, which is insanity considering everything about this team was geared up to running the ball this year.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. I'm guessing that there's some balance, at least in terms of them attempting to run
the
ball.
A lot of it,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so that's the.
But they haven't been very good at it.
Yeah, I don't know that necessarily matters
3.3 yards
a
carry.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that it matters as much as you're still doing it enough to make them honor it. Like I doing the Chargers stuff, there was, they had just been exclusively throwing it for the most part until they finally got it going a little bit with Hampton this last week. But so at some point in time, they're not honoring these nakeds that you're running, coming out the back door with Herbert because you just haven't run it. So you not necessarily have to hit home runs or be even efficient, but we got to at least attempt it a few times so that we can kind of be able to hold some of these edge rushers.
And they are doing that. I think that is a big part of it, honestly. And these teams are triggering so fast in their outside zone and hitting that outside zone in the mouth or negative plays. But it does then set up some of the play action that has been very effective. One element of the last thing with the QBs is I can't imagine a group of 4 quarterbacks first 4 opponents that were like, oh, I hate playing those guys. Brock Purdy got beat up shoulder, toe. Aaron Rodgers, look at the numbers. He was, horrific against the Seahawks, good against everybody else. Spencer Rattler, oh gosh, it was a rattle fest. And then Kyler was atrocious until the final 2 drives and got sacked 6 times. Is there something to be said when you put that on tape as a defense, as a rush, as a collective group, that quarterbacks like Baker in this week goes, oh, good Lord, I'm going to have to buckle up because I know what's in store for me now over 4 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think in terms of guys in their prime, I mean, that was like the Mount Rushmore of current quarterbacks that you're going to face in the league. But the fact is you handled all of them. And that, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure when they're doing their advanced scouting report and looking ahead to this opponent, like, gosh, you can see, just watch tape, they're getting hit. You're going to get hit.
Yes.
But, Baker will be a great test because he got hit last week too. Like, he almost, in a weird way, I think that kind of gets him going a little bit. So I think this will be, even, Brock had been paid and had the year that he had last year. I think this will be easily the biggest test they have so far this year.
What is the value of Riq Woolen? That was the big report that came out over the weekend that, other teams are monitoring him and trade interest potentially. Brock got me all excited with the idea of a Riq Woolen for Trey Hendrickson trade straight up, and now I don't know what to make of myself. I thought that seemed silly, but Brock was like, yeah, they don't even need to give up anything else. And I was like, okay.
On $25 million, so other teams can't do that. You think since he wants to pay him $25 million?
DJ, what's the value?
Last season?
If you trade Riq Woolen, what can you get?
I mean, to me, it felt more like you get like a 5 that turns into a 4, At the most, I would think a 4 that could turn into a 3. That seems like maybe that coffee's a little rich, but I think that's the family of which you're looking at in terms of compensation. If I were the Bengals and I was a Bengals fan and we decided to trade Trey Hendrickson for anything other than somebody that can protect Joe Burrow if and when he comes back, then that would be a mistake.
Well, they'll throw in Anthony Bradford in the deal.
Oh, there you go. Sweetener. We'd like to call a little sweetener there on the top. Yeah.
What about player for player? And take Hendrickson aside, and it is a lot of money, by the way. It's an extraordinary amount of cash that most teams don't have on hand to be able to do something like that. But would it be terribly unique, looking at John Schneider's history and the personnel department and everything else, to say, no, we need this, and we need a player, we need a guard, we need, there's still some areas of some need on this roster.
I think that's one of the blind spots for GMs in the NFL, to be honest. I think there's more opportunity of we can each help each other type situations where we've got a little depth here, you got a little depth there. And I'm not even saying like backup. I'm talking like some starting caliber, good players. But hey, you've got 5-6 good defensive linemen, and we have a hole in this department, and you've got some corners, a little excess there. They just don't do it. I don't understand why more of it doesn't happen, because it seems like they're out there where we can both be better. There's no need for anybody to lose a trade. There's no reason for this to be a we get today, you get tomorrow in terms of draft picks. Like, this is something we can do right now that's going to help both of our teams.
How worried are you in Baltimore?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and to me, it's not so much. And I know the Steelers are 3-1. I don't think that they're going to just run away with the division. I think they have time to get things corrected and get back in it. But just defensively, they're awful. And I think that's 3 games now they've given up over 30 points.
And how much of that is the Mike Macdonald drain?
I think that I'm surprised that there hasn't been some shakeup or movement there on the coaching side, because that's a prideful group, especially on that side of the ball. And they've got resources there. They've got talent. They've put finances and high draft picks into that group, and they are not playing well at all. And I'm just surprised we haven't seen something, because that has been something they've hung their hat on there for 25 years.
What does the setup look like later today for Padres Cubs game 1?
So I've got some pods to knock out, some PODs to knock out. And then, we've got Padres at noon here. Yeah. So I don't know. I honestly don't, it's not an enjoyable experience.
You watch by yourself for that? Like, do you need to be alone with your own anxiety?
I mean, my son can come home from school. He's a senior in high school. When you're a senior in high school, I see him more at home. I don't know if he goes to school, so I'm sure he'll be home watching the game.
All right.
But tomorrow, last week I had a physical appointment, and the first time this has ever happened. I get there and they go, "Oh, did they not call you?" I go, "No." "Well, the doctor's sick." It's a good piece of information. "We'll just reschedule you next week." So I've got I've got a physical appointment tomorrow at 2. The guy's he's probably gonna admit me to the hospital and go like, "This guy's blood pressure is through the roof." Take me out of an ambulance on the way to the hospital because I'm trying to follow the Padre
There's
game
probably a comp to be made and a joke about watching a baseball postseason game for the team that you love and some of the things that the doctor does after you turn 40, 45 years old and trying to figure out which is more comfortable. But DJ, we appreciate it. Good luck. We'll talk to you next week.
Oh, man, that actually reminded me of that. I hope that's not coming. All right.